7 principles of national transformation. This is the second topic we are doing now. So, Mr. Chris.
7 principles.
Sorry, let me welcome everybody that's watching us on Facebook. Hello, everybody. Here we are in the classroom, continuing the HMT, History Makers, which is, what was the topic of the History Makers? How to be the developed and civilized society. How to build a developed and civilized society. So now the second topic we are treating today is 7 principles of national transformation. Here we go.
7 principles of national transformation. Principle number 1.
We need to put off that light and put it back. Yeah. Put it off. Yes.
Principle number 1. The transformation of every person's heart through righteousness of both rulers and citizens.
So the first principle that we need to apply to change a nation, if you want to change a nation or transform a nation, you have to start by knowing this first truth. The first truth is that only a changed heart or a transformed heart, or what are you people, what's happening? Only a transformed heart through the principle of righteousness can change a nation. And the best way to change a nation is to target the transformation of the heart of both the rulers and the citizens. What does that mean? That means that, there are different ways we could transform somebody's heart. The first way you could transform somebody's heart is through religious experience, through the Holy Spirit. So, through or than the fear of God. So, if people get to know God and fear Him, they will be able. Their lives will change. That's how our lives will change. But you will also discover that there are people in the West, in the Western world, for example, who are not born again. But then they have different hearts. They are not corrupt, and they are not cheating. They are not going by the system or something. How does that happen? The second way to transform the heart of the society, of people in the society, so that they will be able to, follow the principles that could lead to national transformation, is to legislate righteousness. That is what Europe has been able to do. Even when your heart is transformed through the Holy Spirit, if there is no legislation of righteousness around you, unless you are working on yourself constantly, you will not be able to maintain a righteous lifestyle. Or talk less of bringing righteousness. Hello? So something is, you need to plug that thing very well. Something is going off sometimes, and I don't think, is it there? I think it's around it is the projector when it was moved. No, right now it's okay, but if it happens again, we have to just, be there like a salmon. Then a new vetom della. Ano, si chas normal na prosta. Prosta na chadela. Te perro je narushi ili shusha nada iwo vernut da water. You need to put something under it. Something was under it. Sota de la porta. Da. So the whole idea is, it is only a transformed heart that will be able to build a transformed society. So if the government, if the people in government don't have a transformed heart, they will not be able to transform the society. I think something is being violated, right? Or is it okay? No? It's good enough? Okay. So the same way, if the people of the country are not changed, their hearts are not reformed, and the hearts are not changed, they will also not be able to build because it's only not only a nation, not only the rulers can build a nation, but the citizens also need to build the nation. So it's not only the ruler's heart that must be changed, but the citizens' heart must be changed as well. So what do we have in Africa? In Africa, we have a situation, in Nigeria especially, when everybody is waiting on the leaders and say, oh, it is our leaders' fault. Oh, our leaders are not doing this. Our leaders are not doing this and that. It is because of our leaders. Our leaders are... So we are expecting the leaders to be the only ones responsible for changing a nation. But really, to change a nation, you must have a changed heart, a transformed heart. Yeah, a person's heart must be transformed, both rulers and citizens. Because let's say, like now in Nigeria, we have a situation whereby everybody agrees that we have a ruler that has righteousness in his heart, that is righteous. Or Buhari, even his opponents say he's not corrupt. So he's righteous, but that is not enough to change a nation. Even if Jesus Christ will become the president of Nigeria, until the citizens' hearts as well are changed, there is nothing he can do. There is nothing anybody can do when it comes to national transformation until people's hearts are changed. Both the hearts of the leaders and the citizens. As a matter of fact, sometimes it is even more important for the hearts of the citizens to be changed because they are more. And they are more everywhere than the leaders. So the principle of righteousness is what exalts a nation. It could be through religious righteousness or through righteousness by principles. And we are going to see, and I'm going to pay much attention to legislating righteousness through principles. Or sometimes it's not through legislation of righteousness. Sometimes it is through propagation of righteousness. And I'm going to show you how do you legislate righteousness, or how do you propagate or infiltrate the whole society with righteousness. I'm going to show you now. Because I know that it is not real for everybody to experience religious experience of being born again, for their hearts to be changed. But even if they do that, there is no guarantee that they will maintain it. Because even Christians who have experienced change of heart, they are engaged in corrupt acts. Because there is no legislation of righteousness. And the propagation of righteousness that we have in Africa is only from religious point of view. Hello? Shota vitroga ititam. Shota... Yeah. Astaroj akurat. So when the values of righteousness are not legislated or are not established firmly through propagation and through penalties and things like that, then even though you were born again or your heart was changed, you will slide back when no support system. So now I'm going to show you how you could establish the principles of righteousness in the whole society as a whole. Recently, if you heard about it, the former president of France, Sarkozy, or what they call him, Sarkozy, was being summoned and interrogated. Why? Because righteousness is legislated in the society. But in countries where it's not legislated, who are you to challenge the even former president? Okay, here we go.
Truth. Truth sees the truth series. Oh.
No, okay. This is just a note for everybody. For a more detailed analysis and detailed. I don't do it. The throw guys to the time. Pravodka. So I want for you to get more knowledge about the Truth series, please go and look for the Truth series on YouTube. It is on YouTube where you can get much more on this topic. But right now, we will just tell you that there is need for truth for us to change a nation. So we are talking about righteousness, right? So how do you establish the principle of righteousness? First of all, not legislating it. First of all, legislate truth. or infiltrate the whole society with the propagate, with the propagation of truth. Let truth be so popular, so known. Let truth permeate the society. So that way, you might not be, that truth changes the heart of people, even though they are not religious. For example, there was a pastor, a Nigerian pastor that was coming to England, and when he got to the airport, when he got to the airport, they were asking him, what are you coming for? All kinds of questions. And he was saying, they said, are you sure you're a pastor? Oh, he said, yes, I'm a pastor and this and that. They said, okay, how can you prove it? So he said, no, but I cannot lie now because I'm a pastor. I cannot lie, I'm a pastor. So the woman who was the custom officer just said, you mean you cannot lie because you're a pastor? He said, yes, I cannot lie because I'm a pastor. He said, so it needs for you to be a pastor for you not to lie. So you mean if you are not a pastor, you would have lied easily? He said, no, I'm a Christian. So you mean only Christians don't lie? He has failed the exam. Because in Nigeria, that is a what do you call it? An argument that sells. That is a, what the word I'm looking for? Tangible, not a tangible argument, like a something valid argument. In Nigeria, that's a valid argument that I'm a pastor now, I'm a Christian. But to an English woman who is not a Christian at all, she said, why should you need to be a pastor before you will not lie? I think because you are a human being. That's just a human being. You should know you shouldn't lie. Why? The reason why that woman who is not a Christian, who is not anything, she will still not lie, is because of the propagation of truth and legislation of truth and righteousness in society. So these are the ways you can change. So there is no nation that will ever progress, that will ever be developed, that will ever be civilized without truth and righteousness. Without righteousness, without the change heart. So people's hearts are changed in the Western world through propagation and legislation of righteousness. And they do that by legislating truth, by propagating it in such a way that it doesn't cross people's mind to do all those things. Sometimes they do it, but they know there are consequences. It's not popular. Most people will not. I don't know if you are getting it. Now, like I said, another way your heart could be changed, people's hearts could be changed is through religious experience. But the religious experience sometimes needs to still be fortified by legislation. What does legislation do? It's the law. And if you violate it, there are consequences. There are punishment for it. But in societies where there are no consequences, where you know that you can go scot-free, righteousness will never reign. Even if all of them are religious. So truth has to be legislated or propagated. When I'm talking about propagated, it means that it must rule. It must, the propagation of it, the awareness of it, everybody must know. No, it must be the order of the day. It's well propagated truth and righteousness. There are still other factors how you bring righteousness to reign in the society. So one is truth, but we'll still go to other ones. Justice, honesty, sincerity are the other ones, but we'll still go there. Let's keep on reading.
Truth is the major principle for national transformation. Is the basis for national building.
So you understand it. How do you get it? How do you make it? Those are the things, that is the instrument to change the heart of men. That is the instrument by which righteousness rules in the heart of men. And both leaders and followers must follow it. If you have read my book, Nigeria and the Leadership Question, I was saying that instead of us looking for Messiah leader that will come and do everything right, we must rather change the focus. Not leadership we should be looking for. Not leader, we should be looking for one person who will be righteous. But we should rather shift our focus to making righteousness the order of the day for everybody. When the whole society is righteous, then it doesn't matter who is the leader. You can just pick anyone because everybody is working in the light. I don't know if you get it. Yeah. So truth is one of the ways to bring people, to make a society righteous. Truth. To change the heart of people. Truth. Okay?
Sincerity.
Next one is sincerity.
Sincerity is needed for rebuilding of relationships in a society.
Sincerity is it makes the heart of men to be trustworthy among each other. So when you have been taught, propagated, either through legislation or propagation, but when sincerity is the order of the day, you can trust people. Which means that you can trust people with your money, you can trust people with business. For example, I know that if you tell me you are going to build this house for a certain amount of money, it will not change the next day, so that by the time it's halfway, it is now double. And then when we sign a contract, I would be able to know that exactly what you say you are going to do, you are going to do it. Okay? Sincerity is openness with each other. Everybody is open with each other. That way, so relationships in the society are healthy. So that is part of righteousness. Truth is a part of righteousness. Sincerity is a part of righteousness. But those things don't come automatically just because you are a Christian. So somebody might say, only Christians can change the country. No. If they are Christians, but these principles are not ruling in their hearts and their lives, nothing will change. But if they are not Christians, but the principles of righteousness are ruling, that is how things will change. They are more Christians than those ones who are doing religion. You see, we must be able to separate between religion and Christianity. What makes people Christians is not the religiosity. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Yes, on one, there is a way, there is a road the Spirit of God plays. It comes to change your heart instantly. But the thing that will sustain and change it permanently are the principles. Okay, next one.
Honesty. Honesty is connected with the attitude of the heart of each individual citizen.
Yes, so that's another part of righteousness. So there are things that make righteousness to be the order of the day. There are things that make righteousness to reign in the hearts of men. One is truth, one is sincerity, one is honesty. Honesty means even when there are nobody there, you are being taught to do everything right. You are honest with yourself. Sincerity is more in relationship to other people, with other people. Hello, shut up, what's them? Sincerity is in relationship with other people. But honesty is relationship between for your own self. Okay? Go ahead.
Honesty is connected.
Oh, sorry, we did that. Oh, okay, we wanted to show some videos that will be able to portray this. Why Africa is poor with most mineral resources and Europe without natural. Okay, so that's the same principle I was talking about the other time, the other retreat. So let's take example of African countries where righteousness has not been established. But we are more religious than Switzerland. So in Switzerland, there are no religious people almost. Ungodly, mostly non-Christian nature. It is country, mostly right now. But righteousness, the principle of righteousness, as Leonard. Anyway, so Switzerland, for example, will not steal your money, even if they see it in the restaurant. They will take it to the police. But in Nigeria, even if you don't, it's not lost. They will go up and find it and take a gun to. Why? Even though people are religious, but there is no righteousness. But people are not religious in Switzerland, but righteousness has been, propagated as saturated the whole society. Secondly, it has been legalized, or what did I call it? Legislated. It has been legislated so much that righteousness is the order of the day. So that is why wealth will always move from a country that is not having righteousness to a country where righteousness is. Because everybody that has money wants his money to be secured. So they would rather take it from Africa and bank it in Switzerland. Why? Righteousness is the difference. So what are the principles of righteousness? Truth, honesty, sincerity, and was it are those the three I gave? I gave three, right? Yeah. So that's righteousness. Truth, sincerity, and honesty. And so, like I said, that change of heart, that righteousness can come through religious experience, but it must be maintained through legislation and through propagation. So Switzerland is number one country in the world that's uncorrupt country. Yeah. But Nigeria is one of the last country as corrupt country. Why? Where there is no righteousness, corruption rules. Even though everybody is religious. But it still was the most corrupt. Righteousness, there are ways that, we should pay attention to righteousness, not just as a religious experience, but as principles of truth. That is why Jesus Christ, when he came, he was always teaching. Why? Because those are the principles. Okay?
Justice.
So another thing that, apart from righteousness, another thing that must be legislated or propagated is justice. Righteousness, then justice is another thing. Okay?
Justice. Justice.
So these are any nation that wants to be civilized, any nation that wants to be developed, must be based on these principles. Like I just showed you now, why righteousness is good for a nation. The example of Switzerland. And lack of it, Nigeria. So righteousness is necessary for a nation to be developed and civilized. Justice is another very vital principle. The second out of the seven that the second one that we're going to look at. So justice is another vital one for righteousness to rule. For a nation to be developed and to be civilized. Okay.
Justice is the basis upon which equity, fairness, and balance is built.
So what does justice bring? It brings equity between people. It will not be like we have, like for example, if you go to Nigeria, you have people that are fabulously rich and wealthy. They live a lifestyle that is, but the next person just down the street is totally the opposite. But in the West, even though there are people who are wealthy too, but you don't see such a big dichotomy, such a big difference because of equity. Because in Nigeria, 2% of the population is controlling the whole thing. And maybe just 2% of the wealth is going to 98% of the citizens. But in a country where justice reigns, there's equity. Even if there are going to be gap, it's not going to be too wild. I don't know if you get it. Then there is fairness. So you know that nobody can just take advantage of another one. Nobody can go to court and say, because I am this and this, I'm a big man, so I can just violate any law I want. You know that you cannot just do anything you want. There is fairness for everybody. So everybody has to behave. That's why justice is needed. And then there is balance in everything. So justice, without justice, a nation cannot be developed and civilized.
Lawyers in the United States. Lawyers in the United States, 2007 to 2017. In 2017, there were approximately 1.34 million lawyers in the United States.
Well, the reason why I wanted to see this is for you just to know that 75% of all the lawyers in the world are from the United States. You know why? Because that is the country where there are more litigations and, more than any other country. The reason is because everybody is claiming rights, because everybody is equal. And in everything, there is a law. Every little thing, there is a law. Why? It's an attempt to create a fair and a society where there is equity and fairness. So, because everybody can claim anything, everybody that, Everybody writes and thinks, why? Because law has to work. Because they are not trying to make people to bring justice just by you being a Christian or being, no, they use legislation. So in their own case, legislation is a big part of it. That is only because of legislation there is a fair society. People might be thinking that you are a monkey in their heart, but they are afraid of talking. Yes, because you see, it's because they are afraid of the legislation. It's not because they like you, but it's because they like themselves. They don't want to go to jail. Part of it is ignorance. Okay. But I'll show you one next. So it's because of the law. So we need to have supremacy of the law. It helps us to establish both righteousness and justice.
Matthew 15:19. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornication, thefts, false witness, blasphemies.
Now, this is the superiority of changing the heart itself. You know, but when you can really make people to change the heart, it's even better than the legislation. Because the legislation, he can still have it in his heart, but not do anything bad because of the legislation. But when the propagation, that's where propagation is better. Because the propagation will inform him and make him to be able to take a conscious decision. So that's the difference between legislation and propagation. The propagation is through information. You take an informed decision rather than just being afraid. Legislation makes you afraid. Propagation makes you to take decision, to be informed, to have a different heart. And that is one that is superior. Because then you don't want to do it because your heart, you take the decision. Yeah.
Transformation of a nation. If it's going to be lasting and enduring, must be based on justice. Because from the heart comes every evil thought.
Justice. So justice, righteousness, justice is another one. If you want to change a nation, justice must because from the heart, we already had that. Okay, so there is another example here. Germans are submissive in their country, but not always everywhere else. Germany is one of the most submissive countries in the world, one of the most organized and obedient countries in the world. But when you see Germans on holidays, or on vacation, they begin to drink and do all kind of things. The same thing with English people. Yeah. When you see them on holidays, even though they are well behaved in the society when they are at home, but when they get to Portugal, or they get to the stadium, bad news. Because the heart is not changed. It is legislation that is making them to behave. And that is why we still need religion in every society. Because religion deals with the heart. Not religion, no, when it's bad, just religion. But true relationship with God changes the heart of men. Okay?
Principle number 2. The principle of love.
That was still part of righteousness. That's justice and right. So the thing was righteousness, sincerity, honesty, truth, and justice. Yes. And then this is the second principle of national transformation.
Principle number 2, the principle of love.
The principle of love. Beautiful.
Matthew 22:37 to 40.
So the first principle is the principle of righteousness, changing the heart. Changing the heart of men, that the heart of men must be changed through righteousness, honesty, sincerity, truth, and now the second principle that is needed to be civilized and developed is the principle of love. Righteousness, love. Okay.
Matthew 22:37 to 40. Jesus said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. We must teach every citizen to respect the land.
Why do we need law in national transformation? When you can, if you can also use the principle of propagation and legislation. If we, one of the greatest things we could do for our country is to legislate law. For example, if you throw away your garbage or rubbish to the street, you will go to the punished. That is legislating law. If you park your car and your neighbor cannot park, you go to the punished. That is legislating law. You understand? Anything that you do, that is going to jeopardize the goodwill and the well-being of your neighbor is not love. And when you know that you'll be punished for it, not like in Nigeria, you still put your car in the middle of the road, everybody is saying, pam, 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 go, pam. You say, what's your problem? No, you are a big man, nobody can say anything. So it's not legislated. Then you say, apart from legislation, there is still propagation. So love must be legislated and propagated, and so that it will be assimilated by the whole society. That is how there is respect for everybody. Also, love must be legislated so that when you sign a contract or you give your job to anybody, come and do renovation here, you know if they will do it to the best, as if to themselves. If they don't, they could be punished for it. That is all the reason why U.S. is the country with the highest number of lawsuits. Because over there, if you don't want, you don't do it, but then you will pay for it. That's why all the lawsuits, because legislation, it is legislated. So for us to change a nation, love. So these are things for us to put at the four corner of the country. Righteousness, love, those things bring order. They make the country to run properly. Through legislation and through propagation, then there is order, there is respect for everyone. Then on the basis of that, productivity can now come. Development and civilization. Okay, let's continue.
We must teach every citizen to respect the land.
The same thing, the same way I just gave example now about how to love your neighbor, the same way we must legislate and propagate and teach every citizen to love the country or respect. Respect is part of love.
Hosea chapter 4 verse 1. Hear the word of the Lord, you children of Israel, for the Lord brings a charge against the inhabitants of the land. There is no truth or mercy or knowledge of God in the land.
You see? So one of the best things we can all do for our country is to legislate truth, mercy, all those things, justice, knowledge of God in the land, that righteousness. If we could establish these things, people, either they like it or not, the society will function. But it's easier even through love.
Genesis chapter 3, 16 to 18. To the woman he said, I
already told you about that, right? Yeah, we already, that's about the land, the need for the land, because the land was caused. Okay, here we go.
Citizens must respect one another. I need you and you need me.
That's the principle of love. I need you, you need me. So we all need each other. So that's the basis upon which the law of love must be based. And if you think you want to take advantage of me, then you will be penalized for it.
Respect is love in action.
You see, respect. I use respect because it's part of love. That is action, practical love.
We must have mutual
Yes?
we must have mutual responsibilities, respect of rights and property, honor and respect for life and individuals.
Okay. Тогда пускай Галя, дай, пожалуйста, ему, или пришлешь ему по скайпу, или дай ему твой компьютер. Okay? We must, can you read it again?
We must have mutual responsibilities, respect of rights and property, honor and respect for life and individuals.
Okay, you have it? You have it slide in your... You have it, it's on your Facebook.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
If we would keep the commandment to love one another, we must treat each other with kindness and respect.
See, so kindness and respect, those are all manifestations of love. And they can be legislated. Legislated and propagated.
Isaiah chapter 24, 1-3. Behold, the Lord makes the earth empty and makes it waste, distorts its surface and scatters abroad its inhabitants.
So, why is it that a country will come to devastation, emptiness, waste, distortion, and even the inhabitants will scatter when these principles of righteousness, justice, truth, sincerity, honesty, love, when they are not legislated and they are not propagated, these are the calamities that begin to happen to countries. All of us are here now as a result of that thing. You know, there was a time in the 80s that the only people that were scattering abroad like this were Ghanaians. They are the ones who were scattering, running away from their countries. But Nigerians were not. Even if you go to study, your girls come back home. No need for it. But today, hallelujah. The calamities have scattered the life. Everybody is scattered. You see, principles work. And these are the things that are needed to build a civilized and developed country. And when I'm listening to our governments today, as if they are not even aware of what to do. As even our pastors and government, as if they are oblivion of these principles. They don't even know how to do it. They are not even aware that they exist. And these are the foundation of society. Europe, the way Europe is, because their forefathers understood these things and put them. Those ones today might not understand it. But the people who built the society, they had it. And that is the foundation upon which Europe and America is built today. We must go back to foundation. What we want to do now in Africa is just to copy what is happening right now, instead of going back to the same foundation. And first of all, laying our foundation on these principles. Then we can build everything on top of it. Yep.
Behold, the Lord makes the earth empty and makes it waste, distorts its surface and scatters abroad its inhabitants. And it shall be, as with the people, so with the priest. As with the servant, so with his master. As with the maid, so with her mistress. As with the buyer, so with the seller. As with the lender, so with the borrower. As with the creditor, so with the debtor. The land shall be entirely emptied and utterly plundered, for the Lord hath spoken his word. As Isaiah 24, 4-7. The earth mourns and fades away. The world languishes and fades away.
You see? Why does the tragedies, calamities, mourning happening? Because of lack of these principles.
The haughty people of the earth languish. The earth is also defiled under its inhabitants.
Because lack of righteousness, love, justice, honesty, truth, all these things, they make the earth to be defiled. They're defiling the earth.
Because they have transgressed the laws, changed the
You
ordinance,
see, transgress the law. Those are laws of justice, truth, love. Yeah.
changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant.
You see?
Therefore, the curse has devoured the land,
You
the
see?
earth,
Everything is explainable.
and those who dwell in it are desolate. Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burned.
You see,
And-
for example, now in Nigeria, people who are living abroad, we're sending all kind of money home. In fact, right now, the amount we are sending home is more than the amount they are getting from oil. You think there is any change? Because the changes must be in values for us and in principles. Until those things are addressed, send any amount you want. You are sending into a hole. Yes, go ahead.
Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men are left. The new wine fails, the vine languishes, all the merry-hearted sigh.
Not be me right now. Oh. I didn't write that though. Number 3 principle of national development transformation.
Principle number 3, the role of foresight.
Before any country could be truly developed, there is the need for foresight. Foresight. So we have talked about the most important one, the change of the heart through righteousness. The second one we have spoken about is through love. Now, the changing of nation through foresight. What is foresight? The ability to see tomorrow from today. The ability to see in the further future into 10, 30, 40, 50, 200, 150 years ahead of time. So that ability to see into the future is what will inform the decisions of today. Only when a society is led by people who have foresight, then that nation that has foresight is the one that rules the world. Nations that have gone to the future before the hundreds of years before the future arrives, they are the ones who have arrived into that future before other people are still trying to catch up. So until you rule a nation with foresight, you will always be running to catch up with the others. Okay, here we go.
Principle number 3. Okay. The nation needs a permanent group of people
So
working.
how will I address this as somebody if I want to change Nigeria? I need to set up a permanent group of people working to find and give foresight. I don't know if you get it. Of course, through research institutes, junior schools, etc. When I was growing up, they used to have junior schools, whereby they will separate students who are promising and put them in junior schools. Now they don't have them in Nigeria. But we need to go back to that, because it is through those junior schools that we are going to have people that will give us foresight in technology, give us foresight in intelligence, give us foresight in modernization, in politics, in finances, in everything. But we just rule them as, why? Let everybody be equal. Okay. We are now equal now. And everybody is behind. They are not competitive with anybody at all. Foresight. And not just schools, but research. In Nigeria, everybody is starting university. Rubbish. If I'm to start something, I will start 2 things: technical colleges and research institutes. Because only research institutes give you an edge over your contemporary nations. And in Nigeria, I don't know if you have more than 1 or 2 research institutes. We are supposed to have more research institutions more than universities. And we don't even have any at all. So what are you talking about? Countries are only in leadership and are only vanguards of others. Thanks to the foresight. And where will your foresight come from? From your researches. into the future. From your laboratories. So, I don't know if Nigerians are hearing me or if Nigeria is hearing me today. Foresight, one of the most important principles to building a developed and civilized society. Okay? Here we go.
He that sees the future will control the mind of the nations.
You see? Or control the mind of the world. If you see the future you before anyone else in the world, you will be ahead of the whole world. The whole world will follow it after you. If you see the future in regards to a nation, you will control that nation. Because you are doing and going ahead of every other person. Shut up, praise God. Is that the projector? Yeah, but it needs to be able to read. Okay.
He that sees the future will control the mind of the nations.
The nations. Do you think it's a good idea to be able to control the nations and be ahead and control the minds of nations? Definitely. Yeah, U.S. is doing it. Recently, Putin, the Russian president, announced some new missiles and armaments, weapons. Did you people hear about it? Yes, that the whole world, it has never existed before. Everybody is panicking. That is why they are doing everybody is they are doing all the scandal against Russia now. Everybody is against Russia because they have gone ahead of them, in technology, military, and they made all the military of other countries useless. So they want to quickly rubbish them. Can you imagine? They said they poisoned 2 people in the UK, and of course, how do you know? Pastor Wellington, you know be small boy. Oh. You are not small, oh. No, because if you listen to if you ask any normal human being, they will tell you that yes, it happened. Okay, let's even assume it happened. Prove it now. Of course, propaganda. Yeah. For example, okay, let's even say it happened. All right. How many people have the jihadists and the terrorists killed in London?
Exactly.
2? The London metro bombing. How many did they kill? They are killing every year tens, hundreds. In London, in Paris, in Belgium, jihadists. So why are they not starting a war? Why are they not doing all the propaganda? Everybody is complaining. In America, they are killing. All the Muslims are doing terrorists. They are cutting people's heads. No complaint. Some 2 people that is not even their citizen. They are all Rogers. They say, oh, okay, everybody is mad. Rubbish. Of course, it's propaganda. It's just politics. But people who just believe television and news, they don't know the difference. They think it's because of poisoning of some people. They don't know that it's big politics. And Russians say, we didn't do it. Okay, prove to us that we did it now. Yeah, because they set it up. So, but you say people want to be able to, it's what they call geopolitical wars. It's geopolitical influence. It's, because people want to control the future. And Africa is not even in the picture at all. I think we don't even exist. Yeah, I think we don't even exist. But I'm going to, by the grace of God, I'm going to change that because I know the principles. I know how things work. And I'm going to, by the time we set up 100, can you imagine? And I know Nigerians. If we could set up research institutes like this, because we have many people in Nigeria. That's one of the reasons I don't want Nigeria to divide. We have almost 200 million there. There are plenty. So we are going to gather enough and put 100 research institutes like that. Put the brightest minds. Take them from all over the world and put them in different directions. So in technology, a whole research institute. We must have our own submarines. Then put another one, aviation technology. We must have our own jets. Just put them there, let them be working there 100 years, 200 years, just researching the latest jets and the submarine that could be invented in the whole world. Then the latest, the biggest electronic industry, information industry, just be researching it. Put 10,000 people there. Let's just be working, just be paying them salary. You see, I don't know if God will allow me to. I just pray that God will give me the opportunity to be able to get out, to get to that country, because I know what to do, guys. But I'm telling it to the world right now, at least to our people. Maybe somebody will hear. Yes.
From China,
Yes.
from Japan,
Yes.
from the Philippines,
Yes.
everyone who was unique.
Yeah.
They took the ones that had no
That's why they are.
purpose.
That's why they have the edge.
Yes. They
That-
took everybody.
That's why they have the edge.
Manipulate.
Yeah. They have the edge because they took the best brain.
the best.
Anybody that can see the future will control the world.
And they just built
And we can make it happen for our people too. For our nation. And Nigeria is the one that to do it for black race. Because we are the biggest black race on earth. And that is why I don't even know if anybody in that country understands all this. So I want to tell them what to do. I know the trick. I know what to do. I know the secrets. I know how to make this country great like that. But would they even listen to us? They're just arguing, talking. That's why I'm praying that God, let me get out of Ukraine, please. Let me get back to that country. But the reason why this particular HMT is important for me is that even if I don't get to go to Africa again, at least I would have been able to release. So even if I die today now, or I never get to Africa, but even if I don't ever get to Africa, at least I know the things that have been keeping in me over the years, that I was the only one who knew it. Now that I'm sharing with the whole world, it will no more be say there's nobody that knows what to do. You know the way we were before in Africa, like if nobody knows what to do, we are just helpless. At least now there will be information somewhere. I don't know if you are getting what I'm saying. There will be at least information somewhere, knowledge somewhere that I have. So that's why this HMT for me is very, very important. Because it is about how to build a civilized and developed nation. Yeah. Because it's a whole continent. We have 1.5 billion people in Africa, or black people. So we need to be able to restore them. That's a lot. And if they don't know these things, we are going to be in that darkness for a long time to come. But like I said, even if it's not going to be me God is going to use, and God is, but at least some other people will be able to now and have the information to use to bring about the transformation. But what I'm still dealing with right now is, first of all, the elementary ones. And the elementary ones is to break the stronghold of religion and religious cabals over the people. These ones are already higher. These ones are already higher degree, like nation building. But right now we're just doing the elementary groundwork first before we get to this. But for you people who are already here, I'm so happy that we're able to address it. Yeah.
How it works.
Yep.
Developing specialties in technology.
Specialties.
Yeah.
Specialists.
Developing
Like
specialists.
experts. Uh-huh.
Developing specialists in technology.
So that's what I had already explained to you. So set up research institutes, experts that will only be working, researching in the area of technology, for example.
Through industrial spying.
Another strategy that I want to use to give Africa an edge is that we should begin to develop our spy industry.
Yeah.
We have to develop spying. Yeah, through all the Africans that are all over the world, all these Nigerians. There is no way, there is no way for us to catch up with the West. Without the without the Exodus 12 strategy. I'm taking it from the Bible. Somebody said, oh, but he's stealing. Well, spying? You think he's stealing? Well, accuse God first. Challenge him first. He started it. I'm just copying him. Yeah, he started it. He had spies. He sent them ahead. So if we, it's a biblical principle. It's biblical. So if we want to catch up, there is no way Nigeria right now will begin to come up with its own idea of building submarines. How can we build submarines when we never know what it is? We can only steal their technology. You think America will just come to you and say, Africa, take your own submarine, Jackie. Let's just transfer the technology to you. You think that's how they transfer to Japan? No, they still. You think they transfer to China, that they are competing with China now? No. You know what? Have you heard of the fuse that is happening? The big news, the fight that is happening about North Korea, because they don't want North Korea to develop nuclear technology. Yeah. Why? Because nobody is interested. So the question is, you don't want North Korea to develop? Oh, we don't want because he's a madman there. So who says Trump is not a madman? So who says that U.S. can have nuclear technology and they cannot have? So what is? But in the West, they will say, no, it's okay. We can have because it's we. It's us. We can be okay. We are not mad. So it's okay if we have it. But it's wrong if they have it. That's why they would never give you. So that's why they are surprised that North Korea got it. So they have to be surprised that we got it too. They have to be surprised that we got it too. Let them be surprised. Then later on, they will be fighting. Then what we'll do, we will sit down and talk. Do you know, yeah, they want to talk now. Because the guy now has nuclear power, now they can talk. Iran wanted to develop something. The US gave them 500 billion. You know what 500 billion? That's the whole GDP of Nigeria. Just say, okay, close the project. How did they get it? You think they went they gave them for free? Everybody is stealing from everybody. Everybody is stealing from everybody. Spy. So technology, industrial spying has to be developed. We have to develop our own industry. Right now we are just doing some, I don't know what we are doing in that Africa. Nobody is thinking strategically. Nobody is, going with foresight. Nobody is, People are just getting salary. What they said, the senators are getting some ridiculous. They are just buying cars from Japan. Why not build your own Mercedes? Why buying cars? Is that what you want to do? To buy some cars and begin to build something? Why don't you build your own? And there is no way for us to do it unless we develop industrial spying. And develop spies. I'm sorry if you people are too holy and righteous for that, but God is not too righteous for that. So I'm in His club. I'm His son. Yeah, please go ahead and read.
Through industrial spying and spies.
That's how we can get foresight, guys. Because you've got to catch up with people before you can overtake them. If you are 100 yards behind,
You can't.
1,000 where we are, you are not even catching up, talk less of overtaking. Yes, sir. Yes. 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 You see, when you want to exchange like that, they will give you for the 200 years ago. Uh-huh. The technology for 200 years ago. So the one that is obsolete. Nobody wants you to be better than them. Like now, China is being able to grow very fast. And now China is the headache, is the problem. Why? Because they are growing. Why should that be a problem? Because nobody wants to be overtaken. Now, America, through Trump, they are putting embargo on China. Why? Because they don't want them to develop their industry. Why? Because everybody wants to be number one. It's just like you now. You have a family? You have your child? Coming. Okay, you have your wife. Okay, good. What about, do you have a neighbor? A neighbor who is not your relative, not your family? Nothing. Okay, why don't you go and give your wife to your neighbor? Mm-hmm. That might be a good service. It could help you to give her a child. Yeah, I have to help you. He will give. Okay. Next example. Whenever you need to, do you help your wife somehow? What do? Do you drive her sometime, or you cook for her? What do you help her do? Cook. Okay. Why don't you go and cook for the wife of your neighbor next time? Breakfast, yeah, or lunch. She also needs help. See? She also needs help, huh? But you don't go to do that. Why? Those are examples for you of human nature. That's just it. Everybody wants their own to be better. When you get your son or your child or your baby, one day you are going to send him to school, good school, private school, maybe, good school. Why is it that you don't leave your child at home and go and pay for the school fees of your neighbor? To send your neighbor to private school, and you send your own to public school. Nobody wants to do that. You people with your headache. Why didn't you go and charge the thing before now? You should be troubling me like this. This is green. This is okay. Don't be troubling me like this. This is green too. But Igor just came to change it. I thought I was trying to answer the question of the French guy. I didn't know they were cooking up their own problem for me. Okay, here we go. Okay.
True relationship with other nations.
So another way we have to do that spying thing is through relationship. You understand?
True spiritual search and direction.
Okay. Another way we could also get foresight. First of all, is through spying, through research institutes, through relationship with other nations, and through spiritual search and foresight. Now, if you go to Israel, Israel uses this principle very well through spiritual search and direction. They go and decode the Bible. It's basically what I'm doing now. These my teachings, they are not teachings you will hear anywhere. These are also spiritual decoding. So spiritual decoding, it could also give you an edge over other nations. In Israel, they use that a lot. And through decoding the Bible, they get directions and ideas that other nations don't even come close. So it gives you foresight and advantage. Yep.
Developmental vision before schools, university to search for future progress.
Yeah. So, for example, we have educational institutions, tertiary institutions, but we don't put developmental vision before them. So there must be schools. You have public schools, right? That's okay. Those are just for normal people. But you must have special schools where you give developmental visions before them. For example, you collect 100 universities and gave them an assignment. This your university, in the next 20 years, you must produce the fastest computer in the world. This university, in the next 20 years or how many years, you must produce the best computer in the world. You must produce the best camera, the best things. You must be. We are not giving assignment to schools. What our schools right now are doing is just educating people. We are not, we must turn our schools and institutions into institutes of implementation of national developmental programs. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. We must have what we wanted. We must understand what we need for the future, and we must make them to work to implement them. That is why you have all these, what they call Ivy League colleges. That's what they are doing. Yale, Harvard, all those, Princeton. That's what they do. They project the future policies of the world and direction. But our own, just come and get admission and pass and get paper. And go and look for job. So I hope that all these ideas will get to the right hands in the future. Okay?
Foresight through planning. If you don't plan, you plan to fail. Isaiah chapter 42 verse 9. Behold, the former things have come to pass, and new things I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them.
That's foresight right there. That is foresight right there. I'm planning. So we must use foresight to plan. There is no nation, if that wants to be ahead of other nations, that should not have 200 years plan. I am having 200 years plan for Nigeria. That is my own idea. That Nigeria must have 200-year plan, 500-year plan. Then we are ready to talk. But right now, they are just talking about 2020. When is 2020? In 3 years plan? Do they joke? Even me, I'm having 300 years plan for my own life. You are talking 3 years, 220. Are you a joker? That is how you plan according to foresight. You project yourself into the future. At least you must plan for a century ahead. Or 2 or 3 days, centuries. But thank God I'm having this HMT, because I don't even know where will I have had the opportunity to even release all these things. Okay?
Through discernment, time and season.
Through discernment of time and season. That is another way to be able to build through foresight, by foresight. We need to be able to analyze times and seasons, and changing of times and seasons. Yeah.
First
Chronicles
12 verse 32. Of the sons of Issachar who had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do.
You see? It is the information and the understanding of times and seasons that informs you of what to do. You remember Jesus was saying that you foolish Pharisees and scribes, you know when this sun is supposed to come, rain is supposed to come, and you don't know times and seasons? That is a key factor in projecting the future. Okay?
Now is the time.
Yeah, read stronger.
Now is the time.
Okay?
Principle number 4. The
I'm sure
root,
you people like that third principle, eh? Yeah. Foresight, okay.
the root of national problems.
That is principle number 4 in national development and national transformation. What is this? What does this mean? Every nation, if you are building a nation, you must know that the root of national problem. Now, why is that important? If you don't know the root of any problem you have, and the root of national problem, any nation's problem is always one and the same. But if you don't know that, you will begin to think that the root of your nation's problem is one tribe, is the Igbos or the Hausas. So in Nigeria right now, because they don't know this principle, that the root of national problem is not tribe, can never be tribe. You should settle that forever. Whatever problem you are having in your nation, the reason for it will never be and can never be because of one nationality or the other. Our number 2 thing you must also know is that the root of your national problem can never be a group of people. You know, Fulanis or Hausas or this, and it can never be religion. But once you begin to slide into thinking that the problem is the Muslims, you self-destroy. It is the fastest strategy to captivate. You will be fighting. You are distracted. You will never focus on the national development. You are putting yourself backward hundreds of years before. You are the whole country is like you are running in a 100-meter dash, and you are now saying, "No, I have trouser problem," and you are sitting down to fix a track. You should always know that, because once you begin to think that there are some groups of people that are the bad, it is shooting yourself in the feet. Because you are not going forward, you are going backward. So 2 things you should know, first of all, that the root of national problems can never be other nationalities. Because that's where you just be fighting one another, you will never go forward. You are not going forward, they are not going forward. And the root of national problem can never also be religion. Otherwise, you just be suspecting each other, you be fighting each other, you never go forward. So what is the root of national problem? It is sin and iniquity. Only that. Lack of righteousness. If you can fix that, that's the only thing you should focus your efforts on. What do I mean, lack of righteousness? That is those things we have examined. Lack of love, lack of righteousness, lack of truth, lack of honesty, lack of justice. Those are the things to fight. So it doesn't matter if it's Hausa or Igbo. If he's having, if he's having righteousness, if he's having truth, if he's having honesty, if he's having justice, do you care? Who cares? If it's Igbo or Yoruba or Hausa or Fulani, if he's having justice, righteousness, what is my problem? Those are the issues we should be addressing. But when they begin to make you think it is nationality or religion, you are blind to justice, to values,